Hello and welcome back. This video, we're going to be talking about conditional probabilities. So before we get started, there's a few things with notation and the formula that we need to cover. The first is that this vertical bar means given. So when we read the probability, we read P as probability of B given A. And A is the given event and B is the outcome that we're looking for. Now to get this, the formula is that the conditional probability of B given A equals the probability of A and B happening at the same time divided by the probability of A. Now with this in contingency tables, the takeaway is that we're going to divide the cell either by the row total or the column total, depending on which condition we're looking at. So this is the same data that we used in the video about marginal and joint probabilities. In this data, we have a fairly successful bakery, and we surveyed 1,370 of our customers to see what their favorite cookie was and how often they came in. So we're going to introduce conditions in this. Our condition is going to be the favorite cookie. So what's the probability that the customers came in every few months, once a month, or weekly, given that their favorite cookie was red velvet or snickerdoodle or chocolate chip? Now to compute the conditional probabilities, because the condition is on this table given as a row, we divide by the row total. So 52 out of 250 came in every few months, and their favorite was red velvet. So we're taking the cell and dividing by the row total. We do the same for chocolate chunk, for snickerdoodle, for sugar, and for chocolate chip cookies. On this slide, we've computed all the probabilities by taking the cell and dividing by the row total because the condition is their favorite cookie. So let's take a look at some of the cookies and see the probability. Remember that probabilities are always between 0 and 1. And so in this table, we have the decimals. So let's look at sugar cookies for a second. Given that the customer said that sugar cookies were their favorite, what's the probability that they came in every few months? That's 0.688. That's pretty good. Once a month, 0.237, and weekly, 0.075. Those are the probabilities. And because percents are a little easier to work with, on the next table we've taken everything and converted it to a percent. And remember, we can do that by taking the probability in decimal form and multiplying by 100, or moving the decimal place 2 places over. Alright, so we've broken everything down into percents because it's a little bit easier to work with. And we have a bakery and we're trying to get the most bang for our buck. So we're going to look at the condition of the customer's favorite cookie. And we're going to break this down and see how this can help us. So of those that like red velvet, 20%, or about 21%, came in every few months. 70% came in once a month, and only 8% came in weekly. Well, that's interesting. For chocolate chunk, 7.2% came in every few months. That's not very big. But 55% of those that like chocolate chunk cookies the best came in weekly. Now, snickerdoodle has something surprising, because if we took just the marginal probabilities like in the last video, snickerdoodle was on the bottom of the list. But if we look in this, we say that of those customers that preferred snickerdoodles, 80% came in weekly. And then for sugar cookies, 68% came in every few months. Now they said that their favorite cookie was the sugar cookie, so that's the condition. And that's a high probability. And maybe we know that's because we have, every few months we have holiday or seasonally themed sugar cookies that are highly decorated. So maybe that's why they come in. Maybe that's where this percentage comes from. So maybe we shouldn't take sugar cookies off the menu. So we've looked at conditional probability given the event given is the favorite cookie, but what if we want to look at our customers, how frequently they come in, and see what they have in common and what they have different. So at this time, we're going to go down the columns because the customer frequency is the given event. So we're going to compute again the probability of an event happening, so A and B together, divided by the probability of A, which is our given event. So that's our rule that we're going to come back to. But this time we're doing the customer frequency. So we divide by the column totals. And we're looking at those customers that came in every few months, what cookies they preferred. Those customers that came in once a month, what were their preferences? And those that came in weekly, which ones did they like the best? So on this table, we've computed all the probabilities, and everything's in decimal point because it is a probability. And we've taken the probability of A and B divided by the probability of A. And this formula is just helpful to remember, which is why I've said it so many times. Now these probabilities tell us that given the customer frequency, what is their favorite cookie? And because percents are a little easier to work with, the next slide we're going to change all of these probabilities to percents. So let's take a look and see what our data pulled up. So every few months, so the customers that came in every few months, it looked like the highest percentage liked our sugar cookies. The lowest percentage liked our snickerdoodles, less than 1%, less than 0.5% at 0.3%. Now let's look at those that came in once a month, fairly regular. Their favorite was the red velvet, and then the chocolate chunk. They weren't so crazy about the snickerdoodles. Some of them liked the sugar cookies, and the chocolate chipped was also a favorite. Of our customers that come in weekly, some interesting things came up. The chocolate chunk was the highest preferred, and also our snickerdoodles at 24.5%. Chocolate chip ranked high, but it usually does. It's a fairly even spread as we've seen with our conditional probabilities for chocolate chip. It was pretty evenly split. So let's take a minute and think about which cookie you would take off the menu. Now to help make that decision, I've put together the percent tables or the contingency tables given each event. So the top is given that the customer comes in, how frequently the customer comes in, and the bottom is preferred cookie, is given the preferred cookie. So which one do you think we should take off the menu? Or which one would you take off the menu? Leave it in the comments below and let us know. So just a quick wrap up and review. This bar, when we see this, we read it as given event, given something. So we'll get the probability of one event B given event A. Sometimes with cards, it's given that it's only hearts. And so what's the probability of drawing a face card with a heart? So that would be the probability of A is in the denominator. So there are 13 hearts. And the probability of A and B together is there are 3 face cards. So the probability that it's a face card, given that it's a heart, is calculated like that. Also with contingency tables, it's fairly easy to remember the given event, so what goes in the denominator. If we're looking at given the condition of the rows, we divide by the row totals. We divide each cell by the row totals. Now if the condition is in the columns, we divide each cell by the column total. Hope this is helpful. Let us know what you think.